everybody, and welcome to Enjoy English. I am Shane.
I am Betty.
And today we are looking at a lesson that you students are going to love. Taking phones out of the classroom.
Yay. No, I don't think this would be something they love.
I don't think people are going to be clapping about that.
But it's a discussion, right? It's not like a certain thing. It's just a discussion.
There's a plan. Yeah, it's still a discussion. It's not definite yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
But maybe soon.
maybe we'll need to vote on it.
Or maybe I think it's better if everybody get to, express their
opinion on that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know, taking phones out of the classroom. Back when I was a student, there weren't smartphones, so...
This wasn't a problem
back then. So, I don't know, I think I would be a little bit upset if somebody just... Because I don't like other people to have my smartphone. I feel uncomfortable if someone has my smartphone.
I feel the same way, actually.
I feel like it's like an invasion of privacy.
And I think a lot of it's about self-discipline and trust, I believe. Yeah, it's about trust a lot of times.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay, why don't we get into today's lesson and let's go.
Taking phones out of the classroom. This May, the Ministry of Education announced a plan to collect students' phones at school. This policy has both advantages and disadvantages. On the one hand, it enables students to stay focused without being interrupted by their phones. Also, it lowers the chances of cheating during exams. On the other hand, the policy can prevent students from using online tools that can help them learn more effectively. This may make lessons less engaging for them. I support this policy because it benefits students in both their personal relationships and studies. First, collecting phones promotes face-to-face interaction among students. This allows them to build stronger friendships and cut down on their social media use. With fewer distractions, students can focus on their lessons and participate more actively in class discussions. Therefore, this policy not only helps students learn better, but also supports their mental health.
好，那我先开始哈。那我们先讲一下，今天是一个作文哦。那题目就是上课禁止用手机。那为什么要写这个呢？因为我们教育部在今年5月有公告草案，就是有说呢，他们这个还是草案哦，就是在明年的时候呢，可能就是不知道未来的某个时间点可能国中小以下的这个学生呢，在学校的时候，如果你带手机，他要集中管理了。那就问同学你是否赞成因为同学也是学生嘛，对不对？那你就以此为题写篇作文。第一段要写什么呢？就是说该政策的优缺点及对学生带来的影响。第二段说明你对这个政策的看法以及理由。所以很明确跟你讲说这两段要放什么咯。所以同学你要根据这个题目去写。All right, let's do this.
Wow.
I'm just murmuring.
You're speaking really fast. Okay, so beginning the article, this May, the Ministry of Education announced a plan to collect students' phones at school. Okay, when we say the Ministry of Education announced, to announce something means to say it or write it or make it publicly known so that people know about some information. You make an announcement. So it could be a noun as well. And to announce something just means to make it known.
Right? Usually publicly, right? From officials.
Yeah, from public, yeah.
对，那他就说呢，那第一句嘛，你当然要写一下今天的背景是什么，那个主题是什么。他就说呢，今年5月这个我们的教育部宣布一个计划，要在学校集中管理学生的手机，这样子你才能之后再扣着题目写嘛，对不对？你可以先简单的把政策讲出来 ，announce a plan。记得这个在写作文的时候，字词搭配很重要。那你这种官方的，我们用 announce a plan。然后呢，你要收学生的手机，集中管理怎么写呢？其实不会很难collect 用 集中管理，收集起来，很像你在收集邮票一样。老师就会拿桶子啊，然后叫大家放进去，这样放一个篮子进去，这样。All right.
I don't know. Collecting people's phones. Oh, okay. This policy has both advantages and disadvantages.
Probably, in your opinion, more disadvantages than advantages? Maybe?
I think in the way I feel about it, it seems like there's more disadvantages. So an advantage means like good things, good qualities. Disadvantages like bad things or bad qualities. So I think that there's more bad things about this. Like I think what kind of you said really
It's about trust.
About trust,
Yeah.
yeah. You should be able to trust the students to do
对
that, or be able to control a classroom where students aren't, cheating
Secretly using their
or using
phone.
their phones or
对
chatting.
这就是中西方的这个想法的不同。他们觉得教室呢，如果小朋友不乖哦，那是老师的问题。那我现在觉得，那小朋友不乖，那小朋友的问题哦。所以我觉得有点不一样中西方教育，但是我也是我没有那么喜欢哦，这信任的问题，我觉得比较大哦。就算他是小朋友，你还是要信任他嘛，对不对？他就说这个政策哦，他现在只是稍微讲下 both advantages and disadvantages， 记得这个拼法哦，那因为这两个字很常用，所以概况讲出来。那接下来我们就从一个优点先开始讲。
Okay. On the one hand,
对
it enables students to stay focused without being interrupted by their phones.
Okay.
So if you're interrupted by something, that means that thing stops you from doing what you are doing. It kind of gets in the way.
对，干扰。
Right. So interrupt. So yeah, I can see that people could be interrupted by their phones if their phones are on their desks and they're looking at them and
Right, so this is actually what was actually happening, but probably there are better ways to go around this, right?
Yeah.
But on the one hand, 一只手啊，这是一方面，所以呢，你如果要讲两面的东西，大家怎么想？有两个不同的想法，你可以用这种过渡词哦，一只手啊 ，on the one hand， 对，它让学生可以干嘛？那同学要注意一下动词他们怎么去互相接续起来，比如说 enable students to 让谁可以干嘛，后面接 to 哦。那 stay focused 就是集中，那你要记得 focus 它是一个形容词，要加 ed。那你后面如果还想要加东西，没关系哦，你就用 with 或 without。那这里我们是用 without， 记得它后面是一个被动，因为是被干扰，让学生可以不要被干扰哦，所以是 being interrupted。被动还蛮难的，尤其在介系词后面，你的 being 要加 ing 哦，所以这样就可以确保说他们不会被这手机给干扰啦。Also, it lowers the chances of cheating during exams. Maybe. I'm not sure. I never cheat with my phone.
Yeah, I think it would be pretty obvious if you were cheating with
I cheat
your
with
phone.
something else. Cheated with something
You
else.
cheated with something else, like the back of your hand or like a little piece of paper.
Right, most of the time. It's more like straightforward and easier to prepare.
You did not cheat. You're a good student. I don't believe that. I don't believe that for a second. But yeah, I think of a phone is like, it's very obvious if you're cheating. So the teachers, once again, I think teachers should be able to see pretty clearly if somebody is using their phone to cheat. So yeah, I don't know about that.
对，我们这个因为是做我们大家都可以表达自己的意见哦。那我们就看一下这个学生他接下来说 also， 所以是第二点哦，跟着前面那个优点讲的第二个优点是什么呢？它减少几率 ，lower the chances。那同学这个可以是语快要把它记起来哦。什么的几率呢？用 of， 那一样介系词后面加 ing， 它可以减少什么的几率呢？就是作弊哦。什么时候作弊？就考试的时候用手机作弊。不过用手机作弊其实我觉得是蛮麻烦的啦。
Yeah, see, to be honest, like I think that, if people, like I said, I didn't have a smartphone when I was in school, and it's very easy to cheat. You can cheat if you want to cheat. If you're going to cheat, you're going to cheat.
对
Taking the phone away is not really going to do anything. People will definitely find ways to cheat. People have been cheating since the beginning of time.
Civilization or something. Yeah, that's a part of human nature.
Pretty much. So just taking the phone away is not going to do it. Yeah.
But on the other hand,
On
the
the-
disadvantages.
Right. So on the other hand, so we have on the one hand and then on the other hand,
另外一只手
the policy can prevent students from using online tools that can help them learn more effectively.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I think, smartphones are an invaluable resource. When I say invaluable, it just means you can't even quantify how valuable this thing is because it is extremely valuable. And there's so much information and there's so many great apps and there's even AI now. So it's a great resource when you want to get information.
Yeah, and I guess teachers are also incorporating the device into their classroom.
That seems like the smarter idea. Incorporate it. Don't just take it out because it's a useful tool.
对，然后他就说另外一只手哦，所以你要记得 on the one hand, on the other hand，你不能说哦，你一定要说 the 哦，那你也不能说 another 哦，这代表你有很多只手哦，它就是一定要是 the other。另外一方面呢，这个政策可能哦，这个很重要 ，prevent somebody from doing something。我们都会知道说让谁要干嘛是 to， 对不对？不要的时候同学就写不出来了，所以不要的时候呢，后面很难接 from 有一个抽离的感觉，所以可以让学生不要一定要接 from 哦。不要用这种线上的工具哦，也就是说不能用线上的工具。那这些线上的工具有的可以帮他们呢有效率的学习，所以这些工具是怎么样？你用个形容词子句去接，那同学可以用中英文对照，用中文翻英文试试看，不好翻哦。对，所以它的坏处就是这样，学生就不能有效率学习嘛，你就是不能用线上的，然后玩游戏啊，也就是课堂游戏啊，我说课堂游戏也不能玩了嘛，对，就是很可惜哦。
Yeah. Okay. This may make lessons less engaging for them.
Could be true, especially this generation is born to smart devices.
Right.
Yeah.
So, especially with time, like with time, if this policy gets put into place, I mean, even right now, everybody's used to using a smartphone. If you're old like me, then, this was something that happened when you were already out of school. But pretty much everybody's used to using a smartphone and to use this as a tool and a way to interact with the world. And the best way to utilize it is to actually utilize it inside the classroom as an extra tool. Yeah.
对，所以目前Shane跟我是不赞成啦，对不对？因为我们要知道这个东西很可怕，那你更要去接纳它。你如果把它往外推，到时候就是你会没有办法很弹性的去把它变成说教学的一部分这样。那这里的话，他就说 this 前面讲的东西很简单，用 this 去代替哦，这个可能会让这个课程呢 less engaging。我们都知道 more engaging 比较级，但是有时候讲 less 的时候就比较不好写了，所以这是更不怎么样。所以同学要记得否定的表达方式，因为它不好写。更没有那么吸引人哦，所以这个 that's true, yeah, could be.
That's true. Okay, let's take a short break and we'll be right back. Okay, continuing. I support this policy because it benefits students in both their personal relationships and studies. Okay, so this is somebody's opinion.
Right? Definitely not yours.
Not my opinion. This is somebody else's opinion. And they think it benefits the students in both, so their personal relationships and studies. So to benefit somebody means that it actually does something good for them. It's good for them. A benefit is something that is good.
对
Yeah. So they'll say that this policy is good for these students. We'll see. We'll see what the reasons are. Yeah. Okay.
他就说他支持哦，所以第二段因为你要表达这一件，所以很重要。那同学，我要提醒大家比例要抓好，因为你现在要写两段，你不能一段特别胖，一段特别瘦哦。所以你要想，你上面要讲优缺点，跟你后面讲你自己的意见的时候，其实很多东西还会卡到，对不对？如果你支持，那可能你跟上面的这个优点意见会卡到，所以你上面那个优点哦，你不要写得太细哦，这个是需要一点布局的，不然你会有一段很大，一段很小，你要先想清楚再写哦。那这里的话，一定意见要先讲。开头的第一句，我同意这个东西哦。为什么呢？因为它 benefit， 我们刚才有学到 advantages， 对不对 ？benefit 它可以当名词，在这里我们当动词用。它呢可以对学生有益哦，在两个地方。第一个就是说他们的人际关系，不用手机反而更好哦。And studies， 记得学业要加 s 哦，不要讲 study 哦，会变成书房 studies 学业。
Right. 不是书房。对。Yeah. So I think that I can kind of understand maybe benefiting the students in the way that I can imagine that, like, smartphones are distracting. And, you might not interact with your other students. You might just be interacting with a phone. So maybe your relationships with the students could be stronger if there wasn't a smart device or smartphone that is taking up their attention.
Right. But this is I feel that this is the phenomenon, but if you want to change that, there are a lot of things you need to factor in 对，我觉得这是一个表面的现象，就是说小朋友上课会玩手机，可是我觉得可能还有很多问题，比如说会不会是教室太多人，老师管不到啊，老师太辛苦了。没有啦，我这个大家意见不同，不要吵架哦。我很怕的讲一讲，对呀、很可怕、
Someone's going to write to you and yell at you.
对
Okay, all right. So here's some reasons why. First, collecting phones promotes face-to-face interaction among students.
Okay.
So that's pretty much what I was saying. You know, you'll really be able to interact with the other students rather than having a phone that you're constantly looking at. And, maybe, if in my opinion, the teacher isn't able to keep track of the students or to monitor them, then they'll be on their phone on social media and doing stuff and not paying attention to class and not interacting with their classmates.
没错，他就说第一点哦，所以这个也是列点的好方法。First， 第一点哦，这个它是用比较长一点动名词当主词，同学要记得它的这个动词的单复数。他说 collecting phones promotes， 所以 collecting phone 是一个动作，phones 有很多台，可是 collecting phone 是一个动作，所以 promotes 要加 s。好，所以说你把手机集中管理呢，它可以让大家促进大家可以干嘛呢？面对面的，就是有一个互动啦。这个确实啦，因为刚才Shane也有讲嘛，因为你没有手机了，那所以你只能跟同学互动啊，不然嘞。
Otherwise, just by yourself.
对啊，就只能这样子哦。对
Okay, this allows them to build stronger friendships and cut down on their social media use. Okay, right. And so to cut down on something means to use it less. So if you cut down on sugar, that means you'll use less sugar, take in less sugar, eat less sugar.
没错。
Yeah.
那这个的话 ，this 的话，其实同学要注意，我们英文有所谓的连贯性，前面讲的东西不要再重复，我们用 this coherence 嘛的连贯性，这个呢可以让他们，我们刚才学到 enable somebody to， 这个是 allow somebody to 啊，类似的意思哦，允许他们呢可以怎么样呢？跟他们的朋友呢建立比较强的关系，然后还有 cut down on 3个这个字要一起记哦，不然你那个 cut down 你不会 on， 你那个句子写不长，你可以减少你的社群媒体的使用。
Right. Okay. With fewer distractions, students can focus on their lessons and participate more actively in class discussions.
Yeah, this is what we hope, but probably it's not what they would do. Maybe, I don't know. Some students participate, some students don't, with or without a cell phone.
I think that, people are just forgetting what it was like before there were smartphones. If there are going to be distractions, students are going to get bored in class. Students are going to interact with other students and probably cause disturbances in different ways. It's more about, I think, the teacher's responsibility, and like something you mentioned is something like class sizes. Having smaller class sizes where it's easier for the teacher to be able to control the amount of students that are in there. And if they don't have a smartphone, they're still going to, have like a class clown. And you're going to have people who are, messing around or passing notes or
传纸条啊
this kind of thing. It's still going to happen.
Class clown 就是那种班上很喜欢讲话啊，然后很喜欢那边尖叫啊，做一些捣蛋事啊，就是 class clown 班上的小丑这样子。OK， 那我们来看一下，他说呢 ，with fewer distractions， 如果你有比较少的这个干扰啊，会让你分心的事情哦，这个 fewer 一样哦，比较少的fewer distractions， 那学生可以干嘛呢？他们就可以 focus on their lesson， 然后更专注在他们的课程啊。然后呢，我们用 participate in 参与什么东西？那你如果要说积极参与，就 participate actively in。更积极参与呢 ，participate more actively in， 它是一个构成哦，所以同学你要去观察一下这个东西放哪边，放哪边很重要。还有你要做比较级，你要做哪里呀？OK， 所以他们就可以更积极的参与，就是课堂上的讨论这样。
Right. Okay. So therefore, this policy not only helps students learn better, but also supports their mental health. Now, mental health has to do with your brain health. When we will separate mental, which has things to do with your mind and your brain, and physical. Physical is just your body. So actually your brain would be your physical. Mind would be mental. So it's about thinking, right? So your thinking health and your ability to think well.
对，然后这个 physical 我们也拼一下，好了，好吧？我来拼。
Can you do it? Can you do
Yeah,
it?
let me do it. Let me do it. PHYSICAL physical 这个是身体的健康哈，就是你上体育课啊这种 mental 就是你脑袋哦有没有清楚啦，对不对？你的心灵上的健康，就是比如说在有没有觉得心里有一种对班级有一种归属感啊，那种都算是 mental health 啊。那 therefore 就是因此哦，你可以用在结论句，就是这么多理由推算下来、推演下来，因此啊这个政策，那同学要注意这个比较漂亮的句子 ，not only but also 它是一个对等的这种句子，连接词。对啊，你要小心哦。既然它是对等，你就要把它对等好。像是你如果要连接动词，那记得你就要加那个动词。动词有加 s， 第一个要加，第二个也要加。所以我们来看一下 ，not only 第一个不止帮助学生更好的学习 ，help students learn better。那个 learn 因为还没有 help， 所以加动词原形，learn 是不用动的。所以呢，那 but also 还有什么 supports their mental health？ 对 ，supports 要加 s， 因为很多时候同学写到后面就会忘记，就突然开始变体 ，ed 啊 ing 啊，就是你那个是从哪里来，对不对？啊，不行哦，也同样的支持是他们身体健康人吧，不是身体健康，心灵上的健康啦。那心灵健康可能身体也会顺便健康啦。All right.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, this is a debate that could be had. You could then argue why this is a bad idea. But we're not going to, we, I think, did our job in arguing a little bit about what makes this not necessarily a good idea.
And I think it's good to argue a little bit for
good,
everything.
Good to necessarily even argue, but to have a discussion.
Right, discussion.
Right? Discuss this, but could turn into an argument. And some arguments can be healthy. Some can be unhealthy. But hopefully we can have nice, healthy arguments about what's good and what's bad about, lots of different policies or different ideas or thoughts. So yeah, I think that there is some logic to what they're saying, but I think that it goes a little bit deeper, like you said. The problem is deeper than just right on the surface. Yeah. Okay, well, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for joining us. And if you have some opinion, you can
leave a comment down below.
Yeah. All right. See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.